Hello, hello, hello. I'm gonna turn it this way so we won't have a glare. Hi, how you doing? How you doing? This is Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, CEO of C-Suite Women's Network, where women and a few good men learn how to be the CEOs of their life. So what is being a CEO? It is being in the C-suite where you are making the decisions to create the life you desire and deserve. So tonight I'm not finishing up. I am doing the day four. Okay, I'm gonna get this talk together in a minute. I'm doing day 4 of the 5-part series. Are you showing up like Cardi B and expecting people to treat you like Michelle Obama? The power of personal branding for the CEO. So hopefully you have caught the first 4. On day 1, I talked about being deliberate, about actually knowing what your brand is. Do you have a brand? Are you even conscious about it? Are you thinking about it? On day 2, I asked you to actually think about defining your brand. What's your one word that people think about when they think about you? The third day, we talked about actively broadcasting your campaign, things that you can do to affirmatively broadcast your brand. So today, day 4, I want to talk about how not to F up your brand, right? Because there are things that you are doing consciously or unconsciously where you are sabotaging your brand. And it's really important to think about this. Thank you, love. So that you can then become deliberate and conscious about how you are showing up in the marketplace, in the workplace, wherever you are in a consistent way. Because one of the things that's really important with respect to your personal brand, because whether you are in business for yourself, you work for somebody, or you don't work anywhere, you have a personal brand. And your personal brand is an extension of, or your business brand is an extension of your personal brand. They can't be inconsistent because people do business with you, right? They hire you. They decide that they want you to be a part of their organization. So it's all about being deliberate about not effing up your brand, right? Because, there are things that, you have to think about, being conscious about and being unconscious about. What are you saying? How do you show up? What are the words that you use literally? What are your mannerisms? Because a lot of times an unconscious branding tool that we're using are our facial expressions and our mannerisms. And we have to be very cognizant of how do we show up as people. Because you can't say, oh, I'm so friendly, I'm approachable. Hey, Soror. And you are looking like, stank, right? And people don't want to come up to you and talk to you, wondering, why people don't ask you to sit with them. Why won't somebody hire me? Why aren't people doing business with me? Well, your facial expressions, your mannerisms are a subconscious brand that you have unless you become conscious of them. Now, there's this thing that is known as the resting bitch face, right? Okay, and I'm just using that word because that's what it's called. But it is, and I have it, right? So I have to be very, very conscious about my facial expressions because if I'm not careful, I look really, really mean, and it is because I frown when I think, and I think all the time. So if you don't know me and you see me sitting there thinking like, oh, what is wrong with her? Why is she so stank, right? And it's because my mannerisms do not match who I want people to see and who I truly am. Because I'm really kind of fun, right? So it's things like that, simple things like that. If you want to be approached, you have to look approachable. And so that's one thing that's really important to think about. Now I can't read the comments, so I'm going to put my glasses back on. So one of the things that is really very important is your mannerisms, your facial expressions, how you look to people. Because remember, people base perceptions of your brand first on what you look like to them. So that's one thing that you have to be conscious of. So you're not effing up your brand because you're looking stank all the time, right? So the next thing you want to think about is how are you acting, right? Because all of us have a bad day, right? All of us are frustrated. All of us deal with the ish that life sends us, right? So how do we show up when we are dealing with those things? And so, I always use myself as an example, right? because I'm the best example. I know everything about me, right? So when I'm frustrated, I have to be very careful of how I talk to people, how I look at people, how I come across. Because I'm not frustrated at anybody but the situation. But they don't know that. They're like, why is she fussing at me? I'm a grown woman. Who is she talking to? So again, these are things that you have to be conscious about so that you're not sabotaging your brand because of the way that you are dealing with the issues that you deal with every day. So this is something that's really important to think about. And here's something that many of us don't really focus a lot of time on, and that is, what do you do when you think no one is watching, right? Because when you develop a brand that is known in your community, right, you can read my face. Thank you, Cassandra, because like you can read everything on my face. So I have to be very, very careful to project what I want people to see. And so that's really important. And once you are aware of that, then you can begin to take actions to make sure that how people read your face is appropriate for the setting. Because what I was about to say is this, when you develop a brand that becomes well known, people are watching you all the time. Now I'm all on Facebook Live, right? So I'm just inviting folks to be looking at my brand, right? But there are some people that know me only through my online presence. They've never met me. They may have heard me. I'm a media personality on the Black CEO Morning Show. So there are people who hear my voice every day, right? They've never met me, but they know me because they hear my voice in this space. There are people who watch my Facebook Lives. They've never met me before, right? But they know me because I'm getting to the point now where people are like, hey, I know you. And so even before then, because I got good home training, I have to be very mindful of, if no one knew me and they saw me, what would they think of me? But more importantly, if the people who do know me saw me, what would they think about me? And is that consistent with the brand that I want to portray? So that's something that's really important, is to think about, what are others saying about you? And not in some petty way, but what are they saying about you based on how they see you? And is what they're saying what you want them to say? Now, at the end of the day, you can't control what people say. So this is about, though, being deliberate about what you put out there. So that leads me to another point, and that's this. Social media has given us all our own reality shows. I mean, now I use social media largely for my business, some personal stuff, but for the most part, if I'm on here, there's a point to it, right? But social media has turned all of our lives into a reality show. And so what we want to be certain of is asking ourselves, is our social media presence a marketing marvel or a marketing nightmare? Because, everybody has a phone with a camera on it now. I mean, just about everybody. And so there are times when we're being filmed and we don't even know we're being filmed, okay? So that's kind of one category. But definitely when you are turning on the Facebook Live button yourself and putting yourself out there, you definitely can then control what people see. So it's really important, regardless of if you have a business or not. It's very important to ask yourself, if, the Stephanie D. Barnes reality show, is it the one that I want people to see? And I always think about, what would my mama say and what would my ideal clients say when they see my presence on social media? Because my mom and my two aunts actually do watch my Facebook Live. So, when they see me, they really do. I really am they really are able to see me. So I don't do anything on social media that I'm going to get a phone call from Aunt Cynthia talking about, Steph, we need to talk, right? So it's really important to think about that. And not necessarily the egregious, nudity or swearing or some outlandish behavior, but it's also the benign things. Because if you want to show up in your market and in your industry as a thought leader, okay, on whatever subject, but every time people see you on social media is something that is so opposite from being a thought leader. It's quite thoughtless. Now, there is a difference in sharing things about yourself so that people see who you are in real life, because people want to know who they're doing business with. But if every time they see you, it's something that is not representative of the thought leadership that you want to be associated with, then you need to reconsider that. So let's just talk about transparency in your brand, because this is something that is really a part of our pop culture now. Transparency. I mean, reality television has brought transparency to a whole new level, right? So, I'm all about being transparent. So when I talk about all of these issues, if there's something that I can share that an experience I've had, I'm going to put that out there, right? However, like I say, my mama and my aunt, and I see Uncle Rodney is watching. So I'm not going to say anything out there that I'm not going to be ashamed of somebody in my family seeing, right? Because, I just share, I have some Cardi B tendencies that could mess up my Michelle Obama brand. All right, I'm just going to be honest. So those are the things that I'm not going to broadcast. I'm not going to talk about, because God ain't through with me yet, and I'm still working on that. I cuss like a sailor. I partake of the spirits. I like cigars. I'm known to break it down and dance every once in a while. But that's not the image. That's who I am. It's authentic to who I am. But that's not the only image that I want people to see. I want to be thought of as a leader in women in leadership, in business. So most of what I'm going to be deliberate about showing, even in my moments of transparency, there is a point to it that ties to what I want to be known for in my industry. So that's something that's really important for us to think about. How do we show up? Because there's some people who, I have formed opinions, right or wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm petty, which brings me to the next point. We have to be very deliberate about the amount of pettiness that we show on social media, because I am as petty as the next person, right? I have all kind of petty thoughts. There are so many times when I am going through my feed on social media when I have some petty thought and I have a petty comment, but I don't make it, right? Because one, God ain't through with me yet, and I'm really trying to work on some things, right? But most importantly, I don't want someone to decide not to do business with me because they think that I'm so petty that I'm not going to be professional. So, maybe it's a video you're watching, because I have some friends, Facebook friends, that I love the stuff they post. It is hilarious. But it is also more Cardi B than Michelle Obama. So I don't like it, even though I like it, right? So I am very particular. There's some things that I just take off my timeline because it's so far to the right or to the left or whatever that I don't even want it on my page. I don't even want to see it, right? So these are some things that we need to think about. Because if you are a CEO, that means you are in front. People are looking at you. People are looking to you to be a leader. So it's really very important for you to be deliberate about what you're leading, because you can lead folks in the wrong direction. So my whole point of all of this is not to chastise, not to say anything bad about what's going on, but just to get you to be deliberate in thinking about what is the brand that you are putting out there. And if people only knew you from your social media presence, what would they think? And is that consistent with what you want them to think? So the last thing I'm going to say about how not to F up your brand is also thinking about your fashion. Fashion is a big part of your brand. You have to be very cognitive of what your fashion says about you, right? Because particularly, again, as it relates to what you're putting on social media, right? Because, I wear some revealing stuff every once in a while, but you don't see that posted all over Facebook. I wear bikinis, but you don't see my bikini shots on Facebook because I don't want, it lends to some real interesting messages in my inbox. It would, because I get some pretty interesting right now from just the stuff that I have on there that I'm real conscious about. But again, if you are looking for an organization to select you for membership, if you are looking for a company to hire you, if you're looking for a client to engage you, and they see all your morning glory all over Facebook and all over out in public, well, then you're going to distract. That is a distraction from who you are. Now, again, that's why I use the analogy of Cardi B and Michelle Obama. For Cardi B, all her morning glory out there works very well for her brand. We would all be very appalled if we saw Michelle Obama in a picture and all her morning glory is out. Because they kind of chastised her for putting her arms out there in a sheath dress, and she was otherwise covered up from the neck down. So again, this is just being deliberate. I'm not telling you what to do, but I am advising you to think about what it is that you do. Because when you're unconscious, when you are subconsciously creating a brand that is inconsistent with the brand that you want for your business, for your life, for yourself, then you're going to F up your brand. So with that, I'm going to close it out because I got some things to do. So here's what I just want you to close out with saying. Be deliberate about your marketing. You can't control what people think about you, but you can control your image to a great degree because you control your actions and your behaviors. You have to be conscious about what you enable people to see, and be conscious about what you're broadcasting, and be conscious about what you're unconsciously broadcasting. And that requires self-awareness. It also requires having people who love you enough to say, you might want to take that post down. And here's the thing, when someone comes to you and say that, as with any criticism, you weigh it. Half of what they say is true, fix it. Half of what they say are their own issues, dismiss it. But be open to it and think about it from the perspective of what you want to be seen as in the marketplace and in the workplace. And then the last thing, is just to think about, your branding is your responsibility. And if you do mess up, own up to it, fess up to it, and fix it and keep it moving, okay? But the first time that you mess up, okay, with a branding issue, it's a mistake. The second time where you repeat that branding issue that is working against you, it's a choice. And one of the things that I always say in working with CEOs, your life is a product of your choices. So choose to project the brand that reflects how you want to show up in the marketplace, who you want to be, and how you want others to engage with you. So again, whether you are seeking to engage your ideal client, whether you are seeking to be hired or retained by a company, whether you are seeking to be a part of an organization, all of those entities are looking at the brand that you have out there. So be conscious and be certain that the brand you have out there is the brand they want to hire, the brand they want to be associated with, and the brand that they want to represent them. This has been the word from SDB. Asking the question, are you showing up like Cardi B and expecting to be treated like Michelle Obama? The power of personal branding for the woman CEO. How not to F up your brand. This is part 4 of the 5-part series. So I encourage you to catch me the next time where I'll close out this series and I will talk about, just give you some final things about how to back up the hype and give you some pointers on how to actually consciously develop your brand. So this is Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, CEO of C-Suite Women's Network, where women and a few good men learn how to be the CEOs of their lives. And remember, the things about CEOs is they are in the C-suite. They are making the decisions to create the life that they desire and deserve. With that, I am out. And hopefully y'all been able to hear me. I just realized I've been doing this whole thing with my headset down. So hopefully y'all can hear me. I should have done a mic check. But anyway, peace out. This has been your girl, Dr. Stephanie D. Barnes, and I hope that you have a great time, and I look forward to connecting with you on part 5 of the 5-part series. Are you showing up as Cardi B and expecting to be treated like Michelle Obama? The power of personal branding for the woman CEO. With that, I'm out.